Well, I'm into this one quite a bit already. Tractor came, won't start. They said the injection pump was getting fuel, but it wasn't putting fuel out. Went through all my checks, was not getting enough fuel to the injection pump. I threw fuel filters on it. And I cleaned up the sediment bowls and everything, and just one piece at a time I was making sure I had fuel all the way through the first filter and off to the next one. I had fuel coming out of here, and then I put the filter on, and then I wasn't getting any fuel out of there. So then I wound up pulling this line off from right there, and that's the packing that holds those things in there. So that was fine, but this was jammed in the end of the hose. So as you can see, that does not go through. So then I said, we got it, perfect. But no, after I put the line back on, now we had lots of fuel here. I bled the pump, but I couldn't get any fuel out of the injector lines. So there is still something wrong with the pump, but that problem is solved now. So now I got to pull this pump off of here. Look at the mess of this thing. Oh, that's dirty. I can't wait to see the contrast of once I'm done with that pump. It's going to look like this brand new pump on this super messy tractor. I think it's going to look pretty good. Dress it up a little bit. So we got this big nasty guy up here on the fuel bench. Tear this thing apart and see what we find inside. Ooh, that's bad. I'm going to have to scrape some of that off. So remember, we were getting fuel to the injection pump, but we weren't getting anything out of it. So we got something is going on inside here. Let's get it tore down and find out what's happened. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing here is the metering valve is working, but if you take that shut off and push it to the off position, lots of times it sticks. Oops. See, now our metering valve is stuck. It should be pushing this back like that. It's very sticky. I wonder if that's where our problem is already, but we got to take this all apart and clean it, so we'll keep going. Okay, I got this all apart. Messy pump. I got to finish taking the hydraulic head apart here yet. But one thing that I'm noticing is my seal kit. I got the wrong size seal in there, so I have the wrong kit for this pump. I do stock kits for a bunch of different stuff, but my CAV kit does not work for this CAV pump, so I'm going to have to throw this in the ultrasonic cleaner, get it all cleaned up, because I don't even know what this pump is. But this is so messy. I think I'm going to throw these bodies, all the really dirty stuff in there first, run it through a couple cycles, and then I'm going to take that stuff out, change the fluid, and then do it fresh again, because that fluid's expensive, so you got to try and make it last as long as you can. Working on this injection pump here, slowly cleaning pieces as I get it apart. This stuff is cleaned already. Looks like brand new stuff, so that's good. This stuff needs to get cleaned. Anyway, up until this point I haven't come across anything where I said, aha, that's why it won't pump fuel. But I just found it. Just pulling the hydraulic head apart. For one, I'm noticing that the rotor is pretty wore. Hopefully this is still going to work when I'm done. We'll see, but in here you have your pumping plungers. And these plungers, they kind of move in and out like this. And they push fuel to the inside of that rotor and pressurize the inside. They run off of these cams. Now, those little plungers, if I push on them, they're stuck. They don't move. And there's one on this side. And same thing. I push on it, I can't move them. They're seized. So there's been some water that's gotten in here and caused those things to get stuck like that. They're seized in there. I'm going to have to see if I can tap them out. They should be like this. These are the rollers that run those plungers. If I lift this off, see how that roller just comes right out of there? They should be nice loose fit like that. But that ain't the case. Somehow they're seized in there, so I'll have to find out why now. I got the pumping plungers out of there. You can see they're a little discolored, a little blued almost, like they've been hot. I punched those out with a brass punch. You don't really want to use steel on those things. You don't want to be marking stuff up. Now you can see right through. That's the bore there. I'm going to throw this stuff all in the ultrasonic cleaner, let it take all the scale off, and then we'll see what we have to do to make this work nice again. Well, that's it. That pump is done now too, all back together, so now I can put it back on. But I think I'll probably do that tomorrow, because looks like the Lord has turned out the lights on me again. Time to go home. Alright, I had to pull this little guy inside because it's getting a little cold, a little chilly working on this kind of stuff in the morning. So this is the one that injection pump goes on. This guy here that I just rebuilt. I cleaned up the sediment bowl. I verified the pump is working. I put new fuel filters on and cleaned the water separator bowl. Found that little piece of rubber stuck inside here that was preventing fuel from flowing out. And then I got to the injection pump and found that even though the injection pump was now getting fuel, it still wasn't pumping fuel. So I tore the injection pump apart, cleaned everything all up, found that the pumping plungers in the hydraulic head were stuck. They were seized in there, so I fixed those guys all up. And also the shutoff was a little sticky in here too. That may have had something to do with the problem at some point, but the big problem was that those pumping plungers were seized in there. So now I gotta clean up all these lines and everything here and start putting that pump back in. Seems like there's always that one right in the back there that you can't get at. Starters, injection pumps, it's all the same. There. Got my nut in there, and we'll see if we can fish that in behind there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go in behind there. Oop. Come on, get on there. Oh, everything is in my way over here. Yeah, he's going. Perfect. Alright, that guy is on there and secured. I got it timed. You can see the A mark lines up with the circlip. That's where I needed this one, the way I did it before. And so now I just need to torque up the end bolts inside here and lock them. And then the pump is installed. Just got to put the lines on next. There it is. It's all back on there. I had this thing plugged in overnight so it's nice and warm. Just because it's a Perkins, and Perkins are great engines, but they usually need all the help they can get started. So up in the top here, I bled the injectors and I got fuel to all the injectors. So that's a good sign, because when I started this project, that pump wouldn't put any fuel up there. It's a good start. So now I can crank it over and see what happens here. Okay, let's see here. Just like that. There, runs like a charm.